guys, Natalie here, and today I'm going to be doing my very first video on my favorite home remedies. I'm a huge fan of home remedies. I've been making my own since I was a teenager. I've just been obsessed with plants and the medicinal properties of plants, and I constantly had my nose in Margaret Roberts' books growing up because I was just completely wanted to absorb all that information into my brain. And it's what plants and herbs can do as far as helping with home remedies and medicinal benefits at home. Just a quick disclaimer, this isn't meant as any kind of medical advice. I'm not a medical practitioner in any way. I'm just sharing with you my own personal experiences and why I use personally certain herbs and spices, etc., in my own home, and how I feel they have benefited me. So today I'm going to be discussing this little guy, which is a dried clove. Cloves, especially whole, so I usually only have whole cloves like this at home because that's when I find they are the most useful. The main reason I keep cloves in my cupboard is because of their analgesic properties or painkiller properties. So they're a really good natural painkiller, especially a topical painkiller, because they act almost as a numbing agent. So they are phenomenal with toothache. You just take one of these guys, put it over your sore tooth and bite down on it and release the oils, and it just helps to completely relieve the pain and make the entire area numb. So it's really, really powerful, more so than any sort of drug you might get over the counter that is for the same purpose. So I know a lot of people like to bite down on aspirin and that for toothache, which might be doctor recommended, but this I found is way more powerful and does a much better job of it, biting down on a whole clove over the toothache area. I also use it to make a tincture. So this is cloves. I started this tincture in March 2023. So it's about a year and a half. I just top it up and I add fresh cloves and then keep it going. So tinctures are really amazing ways to make a practical medicine at home for a lot of spices. And cloves is my favorite one to do it. So what I do is, here I've got some vodka in here, some fermented potato juice that's been distilled. One day when I'm big, I will be able to get my own still and start distilling my own spirits for exactly this purpose. And what I do is I put it in a glass container like this, and I leave it for 6 weeks, and every day or so I just give it a good shake. And then after 6 weeks I can strain out the cloves and just keep the liquid, because then the liquid has absorbed all the good stuff. And I use this and mix it primarily with another one that I've done with chamomile, and that makes a really good mouthwash. So if you struggle with a lot of pain and discomfort in your mouth, cloves are naturally antibacterial and they really help to numb any of the discomfort, and they are probably the top spice you want to be using for any dental issues. Just make yourself a really good mouthwash and use it once or twice a day to numb and sanitize the area, and it'll really, really help you go a long way. It's really, really good for beneficial oral health. And then I obviously add chamomile, which is a calming herb, and it has all the antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal, and antiseptic properties. So even cloves in the vodka has a bit of an antiseptic property, but if you want to boost the antiseptic property, you'll add chamomile to it. But just like this on its own, I use it as a mouthwash or gargle. So a friend of mine recently asked what I would use for sore throat, and I use this 100%. Every time I have a sore throat, I just gargle some of this liquid and then I spit it back out. So not only is it numbing and help to relieve the pain almost instantly, but it's anti-inflammatory, so it helps to bring down any swelling in the throat and in the mouth as well. So the cloves, absolutely 100%. I always have this in my house. I always have a clove tincture going, and it's like it'll sit there for months, and then something will happen, a sore tooth or what have you, a sore throat, and I just grab this right off the shelf and give it a gargle within a day or so. Absolutely sorted. And of course, as you know, cloves are really good for for baking with. I don't really bake, but they are really good for that. And I do use this when I make a mulled wine, a nice spiced wine. This is really awesome for a nice spiced wine. A winter glühwein is something like a winter glühwein made out of fresh herbs and spices. I think maybe one of these days I'll share my glühwein recipe. And because not only are you having a nice warming drink, but it's packed full of all those little medicinal things you might need to get you through the winter. And yeah, lastly, the last thing I would keep cloves around for is it's really good at keeping bugs away. So you can burn it in a candle or as an incense, or keep it in some hot water. If you have one of those little candle lit air dispensers that you can put some water oil on top of their knee and put some of these cloves, and it'll be quite amazing keeping bugs and insects away. If you do a lot of fermenting, you can actually pop one of these cloves into your fermenting air stopper. My brain's just died. And it keeps the fruit flies away from your ferments. So that's also a really handy use for it, is for it's keeping insects away. And it's actually the flower, so this is just a dried flower bud. It's not the seed. It hasn't got around to being able to produce the seed yet. This is just a flower bud that's been picked before it even opens, and it's been dried out, and that is essentially what you're using. So you can't really grow a new clove bush from this because it hasn't even had a chance to create seed. And the scent is just absolutely amazing. If you do need to make use of cloves, other than just biting it down on it when you have a tooth, but say you do have a sore throat and you don't have the 6 weeks to wait for your tincture to be ready, you can put this in hot water. The reason why you want the water to be really hot is you want the oils inside the clove to come out, and you just leave it to soak in that hot water for as long as possible and let the oils come out. You can even leave it overnight if you have the time, otherwise just wait for it to cool down to room temperature, and then you can use that as a gargle. You're not necessarily swallowing it because you are using it more as a topical antiseptic and numbing cream and anti-inflammatory. So you're just going to be gargling it and then spitting it back out. And I hope you found that a bit useful, and I look forward to sharing a lot more of my home remedies with you.